light on that box there?
No. Red light, you say?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't see a red light.
Okay, well, we're streaming now, so we should be okay, actually. All right.
Oh, wait, there's
Red
a
light
big-
on
the
you.
big red
Yeah.
light, yeah.
Okay,
Red light on.
We're all
I'm looking for a little dot.
Red light?
Are we-
we're all
Okay.
set, yes, thank you.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Trustee Cheney?
Here.
Trustee Foster? Here. Mayor Newhart?
Here.
Trustee Calora?
Here.
Benjamin Gailey?
Here.
Isabel Hayes? Here. And Trustee McKnight is absent.
Okay. We're going to start with an introduction and sort of an update of the battery storage fire and what's been happening, some behind the scenes. And let me begin with this. From the beginning of the battery energy storage site fire at 28 Church Street, we pledged to be transparent. When we speak of transparency, it's not only about the events at hand, it also includes those leading up to the incident. In this case, that includes Convergent's connection to the grid without a certificate of compliance. The certificate was not issued for several reasons. After careful review by the village engineer, it was determined that the supporting paperwork for safety testing of the new battery was never provided by Convergent, and the safety precautions requested by the village board and village engineer, which included periodic inspections after weather events, were dismissed by Convergent. During the months leading to the fire, Convergent was eager to receive the certificate of compliance through the building department. In August 2025, the village received communication from O&R's community liaison that West Warwick 3 was back online on January 6, 2025. And that was not back online, it was online for the first time. I requested the building department to verify this information with both Convergent and O&R's technician. Verification was necessary due to the ambiguity of what constituted a charged battery, whether the act of charging is allowed without a certificate of compliance, and most importantly, that the information of the grid connection was accurate. Unfortunately, this verification did not occur. At the time, the full Board of Trustees was not notified about this concern until the fire in December, and I am accountable for this. And although I was waiting for clarification from the building department, this is information that should have been relayed. Throughout the fall, Convergent, with full knowledge that the batteries were connected to the electric grid, but were not in compliance, continued to press the building department to sign off on their certificate of compliance. In October, there was an email from the code enforcement officer to Convergent speaking of the system being fully operational without a certificate of compliance. And I quote, "We are hoping this is not true, as this affects the trust we have in the project as a whole." However, the building department did not complete a formal verification of grid connection at this time. The inaction was a serious shortfall and now is under formal review. Would knowledge of the grid connection have affected the outcome or prevented the fire? It is difficult to say. The exact cause of the December 19, 2025 has not yet been determined. However, the 2023 incident was caused by water infiltration. That occurred while the system was not connected to the grid. If water infiltration is ultimately identified as the cause of the December 19th fire, it suggests that connected, fully charged or not, the fire still may have occurred. Transparency on all accounts is not easy, but it is what we strive for here, not only surrounding this incident, but with all we do. And the next pieces are about things that have occurred in the past 2 weeks. So it's an update of board actions and activities following the battery energy storage site fire. On January 13th, 2026, the village board met in a special meeting and closed session to speak to legal counsel about the upcoming meeting with O&R. On January 14th, 2026, there was an internal meeting with representatives from O&R. Village representatives included legal counsel Ben Gailey and Isabel Hayes, code enforcement officer Boris Rudinsky, village engineer Keith Woodruff, village trustee Tom McKnight, and myself. I will read a synopsis that Tom created. While O&R emphasized adherence to standardized regulatory processes, the meeting revealed significant gaps in transparency, accountability, and municipal coordination. O&R declined to provide RFP submissions and their contact with Convergent, citing commercial sensitivity and questioned the need for disclosure. They did not dispute our request for a complete operational timeline and indicated that they would consider whether certain interconnection materials, including the PTO and portions of the SIR document, could be shared. However, their response were non-committal, and we should not assume these materials will be provided without continual pressure. More broadly, O&R made it clear that it is not willing to change how it conducts interconnections or municipal coordination, including confirming there is no formal process to notify municipalities when systems are energized, and that they do not independently verify municipal certificates of compliance prior to issuing permission to operate. When pressed on safety, due diligence, and post-incident accountability, O&R consistently narrowed its role, asserting that many of the issues raised fell outside of the formal scope, even while relying on conclusions about root cause and corrective actions that the village has not been able to independently review. Given these limitations, we expect to continue pressing O&R directly while also pursuing outstanding records through the Department of Public Service and application of, through the FOIL process. I want the board to have this full factual record as we consider appropriate next steps. We have also sought a consulting engineer, Labella Engineering. Labella has worked with communities on BESS-related issues for technical oversight and independent evaluation. They have a separate environmental team who will be testing water, soil, and hard surfaces. Convergent has said that it will pay for the cost of the consultant. We have received preliminary overview of the air quality test results from Orange County Hazmat. This has been sent to our consulting engineer for clarification and analysis, and we will make that information available once it's received from them. We received a letter from Convergent acknowledging the previous letter sent by the village's legal counsel. It also diminished the need for a certificate of compliance. This is under correspondence on the meeting's agenda. We will be setting up a web page as resources as a resource for the public, and our promise for transparency, and that will begin this week. January 20th, 2025, which is today, there was a site visit to 28 Church Street that included representatives from Convergent, including an electrical technician, the village's consulting engineer, Labella, property landlord, Bob Schluter, building inspector Boris Rudinsky, Village of Warwick trustees Barry Cheney and Mary Kalura, and myself. Convergent showed that the system was no longer connected to the grid. The internal connections between batteries had been removed, and the entire system had been drawn down from 1,500 volts per battery to 37. This Thursday, there will be the actual battery removal from the site. This is the burnt and damaged batteries. Convergent has hired a firm to do the root cause analysis, and the village's consultant will be on site that day. I've reached out to Senator Skoufis, and he was aware of the fire and offered help. In the most recent issue of the Warwick Valley Advertiser, in letters to the editor, Megan Cook wrote about current proposed legislation, New York Senate Bill S5506, that would take away the home rule of New York State communities for the siting of BESS facilities. Megan asked residents to call Mr. Skoufis' office to vote no on this bill, and we request that as well. Her letter included 3 talking points. 1, New York is a home rule state. Land use decisions belong to villages, towns, and cities, not Albany. Local government knows their communities best, and O&R should not be able to approve projects when communities say no. This is fast-tracking benefit. This fast-tracking benefits developers. And I want to thank you, Megan, for that invaluable information. We'll share that on social media as well. And hoping, I will be at the legislative session for New York Council of Mayors, and I know that this will be an issue, especially because it's a home rule breakdown. It's kind of very sad. Anyway, that is kind of a synopsis of things so far. I hope that helps. And again, we'll put these on our webpage to make sure that everybody can see them and use them. So we'll move forward. May I have a motion to accept the minutes of December 19th, 2025?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, wait. December 19th, 2025, January 5th, 2026, and January 13th, 2026. Sorry.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sorry about that, guys. And a motion to accept the following reports. December 2025, Clerk's Office, Treasurer's Statement of Revenues and Expenditures, Justice Department, Planning Department, and Department of Public Works. All reports are on file in the Clerk's Office.
So moved.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
And authorization to pay all approved and audited claims in the amount of $247,321.44.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I see the police chief is not here this evening, so. Under correspondence, this evening, we have a letter from Convergent Energy and Power dated January 13th, 2026 regarding the West Warwick 3 battery energy storage site located at 28 Church Street. Also a letter from John Perusa Jr. commending the Planning Board Secretary, Kristen Bialowski, on her outstanding service. A letter from Aerosmith Development dated December 30th, 2025 regarding the special use permit renewal application from AT&T for a wireless communication facility for the existing wireless facility located on the rooftop of St. Anthony Community Hospital. Also a letter from T-Mobile Northeast LLC dated December 30th, 2025 regarding the special use permit application for a wireless communication facility for the existing wireless facility located on the rooftop of St. Anthony Community Hospital. And finally, a letter from the village engineer Keith Woodruff dated January 15th, 2026 regarding the special use permit application from T-Mobile Northeast LLC for a wireless communication facility for the existing wireless facility located on the rooftop of St. Anthony's Community Hospital. And so, under discussion, we have T-Mobile special use permit application, and I'm going to reach out to you, Isabel, because you've been doing the lion's share of work on this. If you want to, and also, sir?
Sure. Again, for the record, my name is David Kenny. I'm an attorney with Snyder & Snyder.
Okay.
Here tonight to represent T-Mobile with their application for a new special use permit.
Very good.
As the board may know, this is an existing facility on the top of the rooftop of St. Anthony's. T-Mobile had an existing special permit that was required to be renewed. It did not get renewed and expired, and they did submit an application to the building department for a modification to the existing facility, and during that application review process it was determined they need to get a new special permit since the previous one expired. So my firm has been retained to help with the special permit application process. We filed a special permit application, and we did receive some comments from the village engineer, most of which I believe we can respond to by the next meeting. So I think we're on good footing with that. Again, this is a facility where I have handouts if it helps at all, if you would like.
Sure.
Yes. 11 by 17. This is a little bit easier than sometimes we picked out those huge 24 by 36 plans, and unless you got a poster board, they kind of get a little bit
Thank you.
just to walk you through the site, again, this is an existing site on the rooftop. And particular what I want to note about T-Mobile's, if you go to sheet A11. Yeah, absolutely. Or A10. A10 or A11, both are good. And the point of this is just to show that where the antennas are being located are behind what they call screen walls. So there are existing antennas that are below the screen walls for other carriers. Those aren't T-Mobile's. T-Mobile's equipment's fully concealed within screen walls. So there is an application pending before the building department to replace antennas. They have existing 7 antennas there. They're going to replace 4 of them and add 1 new one, so it'll be 8 antennas. But the public won't notice this change from a visible standpoint because everything's concealed behind the screen walls. So just as a point, it is an upgrade to an existing wireless facility. We are here for a new special permit, but essentially, unless we told you that we were changing these, I don't think anybody from the public would notice. So from a standpoint of visual impact, I think this is a very good site. It's a site that's completely concealed from the public. Regarding any of the other comments and questions that we have on the application, most of them were just in technical nature, asking, some of them were very minor, just asking for information that was included on the plans to be included on the application form as well, or including a separate note on the plans. There wasn't really anything that we pushed back on. We did provide coverage maps, all the data and information that was required, and we did request some waivers. The reason I'm bringing this one up now was one of the waivers we requested was the visual EAF addendum. And the only reason we requested that waiver is because the visual EAF addendum really wouldn't have much benefit here with the screen walls, since there is no noticeable change and everything's concealed within the screen walls. So we felt that was an appropriate waiver request, and the village code does allow the board to request a waiver. Regarding other comments on just cleaning up some plan notes and adding some things onto the application forms, we absolutely could get that done before the next meeting. I understand that the part of the special use permit will require a public hearing, so hopefully we can get all of that done before the board meets for the public hearing.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Isabel, do you have anything that you can add to that?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
And also feel free, obviously, if you have any questions
Absolutely.
to ask. But most of the waivers, like David said, I think are pretty benign, and, because this is an existing site, there's no change to the height, it's gonna be concealed. There are 2 waiver requests that I think maybe just, it would be helpful for David to provide a bit more information. They're requesting a waiver for the payment of performance security, which is a requirement in the code, and also a waiver for providing indemnification.
So those 2 waiver requests weren't straight waiver requests. We had not known that we were going to a public hearing process. We had to request a waiver for that. So when we received the comments on January 15th, or the original comments, we had requested that those be conditions of approval. So we're not asking for straight waivers. We just didn't want to provide the performance security up front and the indemnification up front, just in not knowing how fast we could get those documents to the village before it met on this application, especially with the holidays when we were reviewing. But if you look at our December 30th letter, we've asked for waivers, but that there'll be waiver from an application requirement, but we asked that it be a condition of approval. So we'd still provide those documents, just would ask for it to be a condition of approval for timing purposes.
Understood.
And the only other request would be this, because it is an existing facility, if there's an existing performance security on file for T-Mobile, we just wouldn't want to provide it twice.
Right, understood.
Just for the benefit of everybody here, can you talk a little bit about what's driving the replacement? And then also, is this a replacement in kind, or is this a different type of transmitter? And anything that we should know?
Sure. So I think the plans will probably help color that in. So I pointed you to A10. If you go to A8 and A9. So A8 is the existing equipment, and then A9 is the proposed. The essential is just with these types of facilities, it's every few years they upgrade to meet the network standards. So there's a few factors. One would be if there's a new frequency being deployed, like a 5G frequency. Yeah, absolutely. Those are yours. Take them. So A08 is the proposed, and A08 is the existing, and A09 is proposed. So essentially, they're upgrading what the antennas and the remote radio units that are behind the antennas. Those help transform the signal from the wireless signal to the wireline signal. Essentially, the idea is that T-Mobile's network upgrades over time, and it sometimes creates domino effects. So if you upgrade surrounding sites for a certain technology, then you have to upgrade the sites that also feed into those so that everything's operating on the same network. There's reasons to upgrade it for as far as just there's newer antennas that come out, they're better antenna models, they maybe use less power, or there's a bunch of different factors. There's also power of signal, so sometimes these remote radio units, they're putting them out a lot more out in sites because the remote radio units can help strengthen the signal of the antenna, so it eliminates multiple different antennas that you have to put up there. This can make an antenna work better, so they've added more remote radio units. So there's various factors for it. It's not really one clear cut. For these, I noticed that if you go to A12, they have like an existing equipment and proposed. And one of the ones that I can tell you right here, so if you see on the antenna tech, that's the second line to the right on the graph. So with the N2500, so these things that says L700, L600, N600, those are like, that's like frequencies and technologies that are being proposed. And if you look below, it was L2100, L1900. That used to be the kind of like 5 years ago, the standard technology they were putting out for the higher frequencies was these L2100 and L1900. Now with 5G coming out and newer technologies like that, they've gone to this 2500. So part of the main upgrade is they're upgrading the tech for the higher frequency antennas to go from this L2100, L900 to the N2500. That's kind of related to the 5G service. So that's going to be higher capacity and higher data. So we're all using our phones for making phone calls, but people are still using the cell phone network for streaming videos, for video calls, for emails. So when you're making a phone call, it's usually on the lower spectrum bands. It can also be for video calls on the higher spectrum bands, but more of your internet services, your data, all of these other things we use for the phone for are on that higher frequency band. That has a lower kind of threshold where it doesn't propagate as far, but it has much more capacity for this increased amount of data that we use on our phones in the modern network. So it's a technology upgrade, and I also believe they're upgrading some of the antennas for the purposes of just the newer model of antennas that they're putting out there. But
So the A2, the B2, the C2, the D2, they're updating the antenna technology, and then for A1, B1, C1, and D1, they're maintaining the same, and it's a replacement in kind with like an update to the radio model?
so it's 4 antennas. So if you look at the A1, the B1, and the C1 are all remaining same. If you look at the antenna manufacturer model, those are the same in all of those positions.
Right.
Below that in the A2 is the Air 32s. Those are being replaced with the Air 6419 B41s. And then for Sector D, it currently only has one antenna right now, the Air 32. That's going to be upgraded to a full sector where it'll get that APX VL NA20 antenna that's already existing at A1, B1, C1 today. They're going to add that to D1, and then they're also going to replace the Air 32 with the Air 6419. So it's replacing 4 and adding 1, as well as replacing these ancillary remote radio head units and stuff. But again, from a visible standpoint, everything's going to be concealed behind the screen walls, so it's really not a visible change to the public. It's a technology and equipment upgrade.
You mentioned 5G, so is this sort of the threshold for 5G, this equipment? I mean,
So 5G is like a technology.
Yeah.
So again, it's part of that higher capacity kind of spectrum. So when we're talking about the, right here, the N2500 antennas, this is just, I know from, I've represented T-Mobile for like 6 or 7 years now. I just know that those antennas are part of the 5G program.
Okay.
So that's basically, it's a technology they're increasing for this new 5th generation of
Right.
technology.
And they, I mean, those are, from what I've heard, kind of short waves, and there are auxiliary antennas that are necessary for that to work as efficiently as possible.
Those are the remote radio heads, so we're adding those as well.
But they're not, they're all within this footprint, correct?
Correct. Well, they're all within the same screen wall. So
Yes.
we're on the rooftop of the building. The size of the screen walls are not changing at all.
Okay.
Yeah. There's going to be more stuff behind the screen walls.
Right, but I've heard concerns from other communities that all of a sudden there are antennas that proliferate through business districts and things of that nature, and that would be a great concern of ours.
Right. So that any second application for another antenna, that would require another application to go through the board. So sometimes you hear as a distributed antenna system, those are sometimes 5G will be deployed on like light poles on
Yeah,
the streets itself.
exactly.
That would be a completely different facility, separate from this facility, that would require its own approval process. It would have to go through a complete, if it's in the village zoning jurisdiction, it would have to go through a complete village zoning jurisdiction review. It's also in the right-of-way, so I'm assuming if it's a village-owned right-of-way, you guys would have to lease the property in there. We'd also have to work with a utility company if we were gonna go on existing poles. Essentially, I get, the cover from that would be, it's a completely separate application that would have to go through the village's review at
Okay,
that time.
that's good.
Thank you.
Mary?
Okay.
Barry?
Yeah, you focused a lot on the screen wall.
True.
When was that screen wall originally constructed?
I'd have to get you information on that. I'm assuming that was part of the original installation of the facility.
And has it been replaced or refurbished in any way since that time?
So part of the application is they're going to make some structural changes to it. So if you go to sheet SO1 through SO2, so they noticed some bolts and some of the hardware that's keeping the screen wall up did need to have some upgrades to it. They basically said there's a threaded rod at the beta sector that needs to be removed, and they were having existing angle horizontal supporting attached. This is again getting into way beyond my law degree and into the engineering stuff, but my understanding is it's not a visible change. They're more of making kind of like, if you go to SO4, kind of like these bolts. They're trying to change the hardware so that it makes sure it stays up. Again, these screen walls sometimes are like wind sails, so it's very important to make sure it's fastened and secured.
And that, I just want to mention that at the time, because I remember distinctly that it was vetted through the Architectural Review Board, considering they're in the
Right.
historic district.
And I don't have a problem with that process, but my concern is the fabric that's there now in good shape? I'd like to have our people inspect it for condition and just make sure that as we move this forward, that if there are any issues with the fabric, that they get addressed at this time as opposed to something that may deteriorate over the next 3 or 4 years and then have to figure out what we need to do about it.
Absolutely, and that's a good point, and I think that was kind of the purpose of the renewal part of the special permit. So they having up the screen walls, that's part of their original, it's expired, but that's part of their original special use permit application, and it's part of our application now. If this board would approve the special use permit, that's a kind of a criteria, a part of our application. So if the screen wall faded and became its own eyesore, I think it'd be well within the village's right to inform T-Mobile of that and ask them to repair it. So I think during this review process, we can absolutely inspect it and see if there's a need, if it's faded, if it needs to be redone. That's absolutely part of something that they would need to do to upkeep their stealth design. So yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Good, very good. Thanks, Barry, for pointing that out. Okay.
Anything else? So, what the village can do, the village board can do tonight, is declare themselves as lead agency. This is a type 1 action under seeker because it is located in the village's historic district. So you just make a motion to declare yourself as lead agency.
Okay,
And then you can also set the public hearing tonight.
very good. Thank you.
Thank you. I think, when we do the public meeting, the public hearing, I can imagine that folks will have questions about 5G.
Yeah.
Right, so, I would suggest bringing someone that is able to speak to that and respond to that.
It depends what their questions are, so I can speak to some of it. If it's regarding what most people get concerned of RF health concerns. So RF health concerns is a preempted topic, but we do provide to this board an FCC compliance report that shows that the site would be completely within the rules and regulations set by the FCC for RF health. So we can go over that. It is a preempted topic, so even if you got a lot of questions, I wouldn't recommend, I mean, you have your own counsel, I wouldn't recommend this board going into it too much because it's a topic that it's preempted, so once you are considered basing your decision on the health effects, it's a violation of federal law. Regarding the components of the FCC compliance report, I've gone through many of them. I can go through, the actual, how they got to this kind of figure kind of point. And then regarding the need of the application, I can speak with my client more and have some more information on that. And I can bring some, we have like view shed maps and we have coverage maps. I can bring a poster board for the public that we can have some visuals to kind of help explain what I've discussed with the board tonight.
That'd be good. Very good.
I think we understand probably our role and responsibility, and will certainly be guided by our attorneys, but from the point Carly brought up, I think it's important to be able to speak to the concerns the public has about RF health.
Sure, absolutely, and I've done many wireless applications before. I'm happy to speak to it. It is, though, it's kind of a simple answer, which is once you meet the parameters by the FCC for being within what is considered safe, then that's kind of the answer to the question.
I understand that's the technical answer, but it doesn't necessarily put people in a comfortable place if they have concerns. So I think our goal would be to try and get those to the extent they could be alleviated by professionals. And
in my experience, that there is almost no kind of level of professionalism that can get for someone if they believe truly something that they've read on the internet. It's really kind of hard to convince otherwise. We can go over stuff, but some people come in here with their mind made up of information they have, and when information is provided from someone paid by the industry, it's usually seen as biased information. What I would say is that part of those reports, I think, are filed with the village and are reviewed at the building permit level. So I do believe the village is reviewing these reports as part of its special permit renewal process, as part of upgrades. So we could always, provide our answers to this, but I think it would be couched in the fact that, the village has its own experts that would review these reports as well.
but beyond those reports, it doesn't necessarily give a level of comfort to someone who has concerns. And the basis for those reports is work that was done by experts on behalf of the federal government in their then establishing the rules and requirements under which you have to operate.
Right.
And so somebody to be able to speak to that, I think, is very important.
Yeah, I think the details, right? Like, so I think folks respond negatively when someone says, well, it's within FCC safety regulations, right? But if the presenter is able to say, these are the types of effects that people are often worried about. These are the effects that we have seen from 5G this is exactly how we know it's safe, and that is why they chose to do it this way. Like that, being specific, I think, is more helpful than just citing reports. And I'm just letting you know because it will go, I think people will also feel like more heard if you're not deferring to some external regulation, but the actual facts of how people can expect to be affected by the project within our community.
I don't think we're gonna be able to discuss that kind of stuff, like how you expect that, like, because that, there's liability points that you get into. So it works like this, like, so RF is also coming from these light bulbs here, and it also comes from the microwave. So it's a spectrum. So what we're dealing with is non-ionizing radio frequency. So essentially, it's not what ionizing does is where you get into the concerns of, is it gonna change my DNA? Is it gonna break down those factors? Non-ionizing, what they tell you is the shock and burn. So essentially, you're gonna feel yourself getting warm, is what they expressed from the FCC level. However, the whole thing is a standard of, we've set a line saying that if you're below this threshold, you're safe. And they've set those threshold levels, and basically for a general public as well as a working public. So it's not that we're saying like, hey, as long as we're here, we're fine. It is, the FCC has said if you're below this line, you're safe. And it's from the applicant's standpoint just to say that, yes, we're below that line. If you're asking me to start to say what below that line health effects are expected, I don't think that my client can do that. And I think the federal law is basically set up to not have that discussion.
Yeah, I think the specifics that you just provided about ionizing versus non-ionizing, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah,
Like
I can
that
absolutely
kind
do
of,
that.
Yeah.
like, you know, some of the, because terminology can get confusing,
Sure.
right? So whenever we're using any kind of terminology, just defining what it means is, I think, going to be really helpful. And then folks that attend the meeting, they'll feel better informed, and, you know, it will make the process smoother.
Absolutely. We'll make sure, and I'm always prepared for, RF health is basically the main topic you get when you're doing wireless facilities. And we'll see if we can have anyone assist me with that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it comes off as kind of glib, as, oh, we're following federal guidelines.
I get it, but at the same time, the
But
law
why,
is-
and I mean,
well-
it's really a matter of just explaining what they are and to the public what they represent. It's really just give us the background, so.
Understood.
Yeah.
We'll see what we can expand on that, but
Yeah.
the federal law does say that it's a preempted topic, so having full-on discussions on this preempted topic, it's kind of the point of the law.
Very good. We understand that too. But it's always good to have, not to just call it a preemptive topic, but to say why or how, and, it's that information I think that the public really desires to hear.
Yeah, I think
But
the
then it's
point, I
not
think,
preempted.
well, I think the point of the law is a board cannot deny based on
Yeah,
that
we
subject.
can ask
It
questions.
doesn't mean you can't
We can-
discuss it.
Yeah, we can ask questions all day long, any questions, right, I would assume, and the public
Yes.
can also ask any questions. We just can't deny it on that basis.
Right, but we'll see if we can provide the information. I'm not trying to withhold it. It's just, this is
I
like,
understand, you're an
and it-
attorney.
again,
right?
yeah, and it's an
Trying to-
existing facility.
yeah.
You're kind of asking me to like throw out a right I have as part of the law, and it's, I get
We're
it.
not
but-
asking you to throw out any rights.
But if we have this discussion, and then just hypothetical standpoint, if we have this discussion and you have a whole bunch of people in the public that says, well, we don't like what he said, and we think you should deny this application, or you guys start to not like some of the technical standpoints we say, what happens then?
Well,
Probably
we
get
will,
guidance from our attorneys.
Yeah,
I know,
exactly.
but yes, okay.
But, so you're, like, I think, what I hope you understand is that whether or not you choose to answer the questions, those are questions we're gonna be getting from the public, right? So it's something that we're going to have to address anyway. So that's why I was kind of providing that guidance, so that,
I get it. I completely understand. It's just, again, the answer I'm giving, it seems to be you want more of that, and I'm just saying, as an industry, that's basically the answer that's given. I'll see what we can do to color in. I will have the information regarding non-ionizing. It was just when you made comments about specific health effects that people can expect, I think that was going into a little bit too far on the topic that we would even be able to provide, because you're getting into some parts where it's like, now we're just speculating
I
about
was
stuff.
just gonna say, there was some
Yeah, we don't wanna
speculation there.
speculate, yeah,
Right.
thank you.
Very good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. We're at public comment, so if anybody would like to address the board on topics that are on the agenda, please raise your name and raise your arm and give us your name. Raise your name. Okay. Yes?
My name's Stephanie Kowalski, and I have a few questions, concerns. I don't expect you to really answer them, maybe next time.
Okay.
But I've just been going through some things that you guys are posting, some things that Convergent shared. You spoke about their note. I saw readings from, I'm pretty sure it's the hazmat readings that you're saying you're gonna go through and post.
Yeah.
And my main concern is lawsuits against the village. So now you just on recording accepted some liability in the negligence of this project, and that you should have followed up better on things that you heard informally and between you and the building department or zoning, and that didn't happen. And then I'm reading where after the first fire, Convergent changed their lease, so they're no longer the leaseholder. It's now 2 to 3 other small LLCs that are worth nothing.
Mhm.
So you can't sue those because they're worth the cost of the batteries that are there. So when people start getting sick and suing for their health issues and now citing this meeting and these minutes, that's coming after the village, and now that's coming after taxpayers. And then my next concern is there's no consequences for anyone here, because O&R is blaming the village and Convergent. Convergent's blaming Powen, who's bankrupt, and O&R. Nobody's saying anything to the property owner, but if you have an Airbnb and you're renting to someone, whatever that renter does is your responsibility. Any fines that that renter gets is your responsibility. This landlord who purchased this property in a quick claim deed for $10 is making millions and doing whatever he wants over there with no checks and balances. When things don't make sense to me, I look at them more. So I've been really looking into the financials of this property. I've been looking into who the owner of this property is, and I'm a bit concerned and confused because then I saw something called WVLDC, which I'm pretty sure that you're a member of. Sweeten used to be a member of.
I was a member. It's no longer.
But you were a member, and you guys were all pretty excited that you specifically handpicked this person to quit claim deed this property for $10. Obviously, I'm not naive that more things were traded there. I'm not sure what they are. I don't even know how I would find that. But it wasn't just $10.
So we did not sell the property to them.
No, the Koch brothers did.
The
for
Koch
$10.
brothers,
But
and-
they also purchased it previously for $10, but in their purchase it says "and goods and services." So I'm not sure what the $10 is. Obviously, it was more than $10. I'm concerned that you were on a board that handpicked this person to have this property. There were no checks and balances on this project. There's so many environmental pages missing, and then it just kind of is like, whoops, we should have looked at things, but it kind of looks like it wasn't a whoops, it was a blind eye, because then I'm seeing that a lot of other people in the town and village have LLCs with the property owner as well. So everyone's benefiting financially in different aspects, not just off this property. And I'm not naive either that this man lent the town $4 million to purchase the jail property. And he's also still benefiting from the jail property because the town owns the land, he owns the buildings. So it just kind of seems if we slap this landlord on the wrist and say, here's these fines on your property that already has 2 liens on it from this same project, he's going to stop throwing millions there, throwing millions here. It's just kind of giving, like, a lot of people are sharing financial interest with him, so there's not ever going to be accountability. We're going to have these meetings where people blame other people. It's going back online. O&R, I read, like, the write-up that Tom McKnight gave. They don't care because they're going to continue to do what they want to do anyway. There's no way to force them to build their substation that they're prolonging, and these all have to do with solar. You need to plug these in to power the solar panels. This isn't about our O&R bills. You can't even, not you, but O&R can't show that this is actually offsetting what they're saying, it's offsetting, and we're all still getting text messages during the summer, during the high times of usage, when they're saying these kick in. No, they don't. They're still telling you, lower your AC to this, don't use your lights, don't. So this is not benefiting anyone in this village, and I really think that it's time to start looking into all these financials, because that's gonna bankrupt the village when all these people start having health risk and suing the village, because you can't sue this LLC, and Convergent made sure they can't be sued. And something else that I'm concerned with is Palin, before they went bankrupt, was using Sonic Systems, which is the people that have the lien on this property now, to commission, retrofit, and repair their best systems. When Palin went out of business and didn't pay them, they stopped doing what they were hired to do. So nobody's been repairing, maintaining these systems. And now we have another fire. So who going forward is gonna maintain these systems, and who's paying for that? Because it's nice that Convergent's saying they're gonna foot the bill, but then it also just looks like Convergent's throwing money around. They're saying they gave the fire department money as a thank you to buy these drones. I haven't seen any documentation of how much money that is, or that they even bought these drones, or what that's for. They're claiming they gave money to the local fire department. Who determined how much money was needed to cover the men that were out there? It just seems like a lot of, this is what we're saying, and there's no consequences.
I understand exactly what you're saying, and that's why we're trying to do this really carefully
Yeah.
and get all that information. I can tell you on the, I served on the Economic Development Committee, and that property was actually the beginning of that committee. And at the time, this BESS unit was not even thought of. It was really about rehabbing what was a boarded up building. And it has returned to us in an incredible way. But if we put people in a compromised situation, then that's a problem. So,
That's what it looks like.
yeah.
It
But
looks like because he was handpicked and because he throws money all over the town and the village, that he just does whatever he wants. Because if he's getting a consequence, like any other landlord would, you would get a fine for what your tenants do. He's not. And it just looks to the rest of the public that if you give him a fine, then he's not going to throw money anywhere else that he's throwing money. And that's something that I'd like to be addressed, because there's still no consequences. There's a lot of thinking about the consequences, but what's to prevent this again, and what's to make him pay attention to his tenants?
sure.
So, it's just my concerns.
I think the landlord was served with the violation notices, the
But
same
is-
notices that were served
He
on
was,
Convergent.
But is he getting violations from January 2025 to December 2025? Because I was told they could be up to $1,000.
A day.
It was a day.
Correct. Yeah, he'll get the same violation notices as Convergent receives.
But my question is, Convergent isn't the lease owner anymore. Convergent switched from being the lease owner after the first fire because they saw the liability in the financial state,
As the operator and occupant, they're liable.
but they're not the operator or occupant any further. It's two smaller LLCs that they created after the fire.
Their own paper trail
I have their.
demonstrates that they are operator and occupant.
I'd love to see what you have compared to what I foiled, but it doesn't show that they are. It shows it's these two smaller LLCs that are worth $0. So a fine to them is whatever, because they're not gonna pay it. The same way Palin didn't pay it. The small LLCs are gonna declare bankruptcy.
Well, thank you for that, all that information. I mean, that's important. And if you would share that with us, that would be fantastic as well.
Sure.
I appreciate that. Anyone else? Yes.
Has section 3 of the wrong environmental assessment form been found yet?
That I do not
Not to my
believe.
knowledge.
Not to my knowledge.
So when a form is missing from such a document or some kind of a,
Well, let me just correct that. Actually, part of Part 3
part of part 3,
has been
correct?
found. It's
Okay.
Part 2, which we don't have.
Okay, well, I'm looking for the planning board's portion of it where they're supposed to answer their questions. That's the
That's
part that
That's
I'm
a critical
that's part
piece,
two.
yeah.
And does that ever invalidate a building permit? Would that ever invalidate the entire process, paperwork-wise? Because if you don't actually have the documentation that's required and necessary, then can the entire project be dismantled because of it?
Given the time frame, I don't believe so.
And that is, as far as we're saying, there's just a legal statute for the,
Correct.
okay. And also, the air quality reports, I do have hold of some of them, and simple pivot tables tell that 1 part per million of the, what is it, hydrogen cyanide was found, but 1.5 part per million was found at the skate park section. If you look at sensor number 4 on the skate park report, you'll see that the majority of the readings were 1.5 parts per million as opposed to 1. And this was after we were told that there was nothing, no significant findings downwind as a result of this fire. So a 10-minute pivot table took me to find that. So I think that any, person, any lay person that knows a little bit about Excel would be able to search these items relatively quickly. So I'm concerned that while Convergent continues to say that there is no adverse health concerns and such, and the only damage that was suffered was with their own product, I definitely dispute that.
So we asked Labella, who's our environmental consultant, to do that analysis so that it's really clear.
Right.
Because I felt what we received from Orange County Hazmat was not.
Well, no, it's not, because you have to be, you've got to know how to interpret the data. So, I mean, I'm able to interpret the data to a point, but it's, it's really a matter of, it's not that lengthy of a time to do it.
No.
And I'm certain that they've got more experts in financial analysis than myself. So, I just think that the sooner the better.
Yeah, I agree.
Would you be willing to do a soil sample before they remove their equipment with your third party?
I could ask about that, yeah.
Because I'd be interested in seeing the soil sample, because they had someone guarding the soil, so you couldn't take a soil sample.
I mean, I'll volunteer to do it.
I wouldn't want you to be on that site. It was not a nice place. Okay. Thank you. Anyone else?
My questions will be quick because I think they covered a lot of it.
Okay.
I was just wondering, I know that the last meeting with O&R was private,
Yes.
and that really ended in frustration on your part. Have you guys set a date, because I know they're still willing to come to a public meeting? Has that date been set?
Not yet, but it will be public once we
Okay.
do that.
And then also, is Convergent planning on coming to a public meeting at any point, or?
I believe they will be at a certain point, but I think that right now, without the root cause analysis, it's kind of hard for them to be in a room without, any of that information.
And what do you think the odds are that O&R and Convergent would come to a public meeting on the same night, so that it's not just a constant runaround?
Run around. We can try that.
Yeah.
It'd
Had
be
it happen
interesting.
before.
Yeah.
They were
I think that would be
They were
really.
both here after the first incident. They were both here after the first
Oh, they
incident.
were
in the
together?
meeting.
in the same room,
Yeah.
same night.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Different parts of the room.
I do have one more question,
Yes.
sorry. Con Edison is the parent company of Orange and Rockland. So I haven't seen anything about this, by the way, addressed at all by Con Edison. And I'm wondering if that's something that the village is willing to maybe back, if there were such a reason to reach out to them. Because honestly, Con Edison has a big set of stakeholders, and it would really, really benefit them to keep their business, proper and in line. And obviously, their subsidiary should be kept in line as well. And something like this, where O&R is passing the buck and Convergence passing the buck, and they're sort of, bouncing it back to each other, I think that maybe it's time for the parent company to step in.
Well, we can see about that. We'll look at that. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. we'll move on to motions. Okay.
Number one, motion to approve payment number 15 in the amount of $40,296.15 to TAM Enterprises, Inc. for the well number 3 water treatment plant project per the recommendation of Pittengarrow and Doach Consulting Engineers, PC. Funds are appropriated in budget code H.8330.2000.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
2, motion to grant permission to Village of Warwick employee Boris Wodzinski to carry over 3 vacation days.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to grant permission to Village of Warwick employee Robert Helt to carry over 5 vacation days.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to hire Vincent Liggio to the position of seasonal Department of Public Works laborer at 40 hours per week, not to exceed 9 months, per civil service rules, with a start date of January 23rd, 2026, as per the recommendation of DPW Supervisor Michael Moser. Salary will be based on the FY 25-26 budget.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
And the next?
Number 5,
Yeah.
Village of Warwick Board of Trustees voluntary employee separation offer. Whereas it is in the interest of the village and may be beneficial to employees to offer a voluntary separation incentive to full-time employees having 20 or more years of full-time service with the village. Now therefore it is resolved that the village will offer a voluntary separation incentive payment of $15,000 to full-time employees having at least 20 years of full-time service with the village, subject to the following terms. An eligible employee must notify the village mayor on or before February 20th, 2026 at 4 p.m. in writing of the employee's intent to leave village service. The employee shall complete and sign the voluntary separation incentive payment form and waiver and deliver the completed form to the village clerk's office by that date and time. Employees who take advantage of this incentive shall be deemed either resigned or retired as set forth by the employee on the form on the date set forth by the employee on the form. The employee must separate from the village service on or before March 13th, 2026. The amount of the separation payment shall be subject to all usual and customary taxes and withholdings. Such payments shall not be used in the calculation of any retirement benefit calculated by the State Employees Retirement System or other applicable retirement system. The village will make the voluntary separation payment within 30 days after the employee's separation from village service.
Second.
Okay. It's a roll call.
Trustee Cheney?
Yes.
Trustee Foster?
Yes.
Trustee Calora?
Yes.
Mayor Newhart?
Yes.
Number 6, motion to advertise and receive bids for chemical delivery for the Village of Warwick water and sewer plant to include delivery to the water plant, well number 2, well number 3, and the microfiltration plant. Bids will be for fiscal year June 1st, 2026 through May 31st, 2027.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to advertise and receive bids for the pickup and delivery of a 30-yard refuse container at 24 Memorial Park Drive on an as-needed basis, and pickup and delivery of a 2-yard container once per week at the Village of Warwick Wastewater Treatment Plant, 104 River Street. Bids will be for fiscal year June 1st, 2026 through May 31st, 2027.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to advertise and receive bids for on-call electrical contractors. Bids will be for the period of June 1st, 2026 through May 31st, 2028.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to advertise and receive bids for an on-call HVAC/plumbing contractor. Bids will be for the period of June 1st, 2026 through May 31st, 2028.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You're getting your workout, right?
Yep. Motion to advertise and receive bids for natural gas supply for the Village of Warwick for the period of June 1st, 2026 through May 31st, 2028.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution for the Board of the Village of Warwick Board of Trustees Community Development Block Grant Program Wheeler Avenue ADA Sidewalk Improvements. Whereas the village was awarded a 2025 Community Development Block Grant Program Award in the amount of $148,000 and $148,420 for the reconstruction of the sidewalk on Wheeler Avenue to improve ADA accessibility to Village Hall. Proposed improvements include ADA accessible curb drops at intersections, ramps at driveway crossings, and a sidewalk with smooth surface that is easier to traverse than the existing sidewalk. An ADA designated parking space will be added to the municipal parking lot at the corner of Wheeler Avenue and Spring Street. The proposed improvements will benefit members of the community with mobility issues, including the elderly and disabled, thereby furthering the village's goal to provide more accessible routes to this vital community building.
Second.
Okay, Trustee Cheney?
Yes.
Trustee Foster?
Yes.
Trustee Flora?
Yes.
Mayor Newhart?
Yes.
Motion to authorize the mayor to enter into an agreement for repayment of water and sewer charges with the property owner at 58 McEwen Street, Warwick, New York, in the amount of $501.25 to be paid in 12 quarterly installments of $41.77, and authorize the mayor to sign the same.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion to grant permission to Warwick Community Bandwagon Incorporated to hold the 4th Annual Mental Health Month Awareness Celebration at Railroad Green on Saturday, May 16, 2026 from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. with a rain date of Sunday, May 17, 2026. Setup will begin at 10 a.m. with breakdown to be completed by 5 p.m. Request includes use of speakers and electricity, setup of tents and placement of portable toilets, and the use of village-owned tables and chairs. Request also includes no parking meter bags to be placed on the parking spaces along Railroad Avenue. Completed facility use permit and proof of insurance have been received. Approval is pending receipt of security deposit.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Motion to close Railroad Avenue from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. for the benefit of the Mental Health Awareness Celebration on Saturday, May 16, 2026 with a rain date of Sunday, May 17, 2026.
Okay,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And,
I'll do Tom's since
Thank you.
I have none.
okay,
Motion to accept the proposal from LaBella Associates, DPC, dated January 15th, 2026, to conduct an environmental investigation at the energy storage developer Convergent Energy and Power's Church Street Battery Storage Facility at 28 Church Street with a total estimated project cost of $24,600, and authorize the mayor to sign the professional service agreement.
Second.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Resolution declaring intent to support the submission of an application for the New York State Department of State Local Government Efficiency Grants Program. Whereas the New York State Department of State Local Government Efficiency Grants Program provides funding to municipalities to promote efficiency, reduce costs, and enhance the delivery of local government services, and whereas the Village of Warwick recognizes the need to explore innovative shared service opportunities to improve municipal operations and achieve cost savings, and whereas the village, in partnership with the Town of Warwick, Village of Florida, and the Village of Greenwood Lake, seeks to conduct a comprehensive feasibility study to determine the viability of establishing a shared police department to serve all participating municipalities, and whereas the proposed study will involve hiring a qualified consultant to conduct a needs assessment for police services across all participating municipalities, evaluate the feasibility of a police chief and/or department, including an analysis of potential cost savings, operational efficiency, and service delivery, examine possible structures for the shared services, outline the police responsibilities to be shared, identify potential benefits of collaboration, and develop a framework for implementation. Research and analyze best practices from other communities that successfully share police services. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the village hereby declares its intention to support the submission of an application by the Town of Warwick as the lead applicant for the New York State Department of State Local Government Efficiency Grants Program to fund a feasibility study on the Shared Police Services Initiative as described herein. Wait, is that the end of it?
The
Yeah,
next page.
And
And
be it further
Bear
resolved.
with me. Be it further resolved that the village commits to collaborating with the Town of Warwick, the Village of Florida, and the Village of Greenwood Lake in the application process and throughout the study to ensure its success, and be it further resolved that the village will take all necessary steps to engage stakeholders, provide information, and support the implementation of this study to determine the feasibility and structure of sharing police services among the participating municipalities.
Okay.
Second. I just maybe make a quick comment.
Sure.
I know that 1980s at some point, the village met with the town, worked with the town, and combined the two police forces at that time. I think that we probably are the best example of number 5, which says research and analyze best practices from other communities and successfully share police services. And I'm looking forward to the results of this. My expectation is that we should all be seeing good savings from this and better service. I think that's what we got when the village and the town entered into our agreement in the 80s. So looking forward to this whole study and the process and seeing if we can get it done.
I'm very pleased that the other mayors, Mayor Harder and Mayor Hoey, are, on board, and it's really important. And to understand, the potential cost savings, the challenges. It's going to be a very interesting study. I mean, for example, Greenwood Lake also monitors a lake.
Right.
So that's
Dale Lake, yeah. And I just also, not to leave him out, but Supervisor Dwyer has been, I guess, in the lead to move this forward and bring the 3 villages together. So I thank all of the leadership that's willing to at least hear this out.
Yeah. Very good. So we have a vote.
Trustee Cheney?
Yes.
Trustee Foster?
Yes.
Trustee Kolar? Yes. Mayor Newhart?
Yes.
Okay. Motion to authorize the return of the planning board escrow balance of $1,714 to Clement Truitt III for site plan approval at 10 Cottage Street. All invoices have been paid as per emails from the village engineer and planning board attorney.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
So the next one we're going to hold off on. So
Okay.
So now we're on to
we're on to the addendums.
19. Who wants to do this one?
Oh, I'll do that one.
Yep.
Motion to accept funding in the amount of $4,000 from the New York State Youth Sports and Education Funding Project for youth throughout Orange County Youth Bureau for 2026 Village of Recreation Project for Youth.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That one's you, I think.
Motion to authorize the mayor to enter into an agreement for repayment of water and sewer charges with the tenant at 12 Elm Street, Warwick, New York, in the amount of $361.25 to be paid in 2 quarterly installments of $180.63, and authorize the mayor to sign the same.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And Mary, do you want to take the final? Or no, there's 2. So
I'm not sure where we are.
21,
Oh, no.
budget modification. Okay.
Motion to approve the attached budget modification request as per the village treasurer's memo dated January 20th, 2026.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to authorize the mayor to renew the contract for one successive period of June 1st, 2026 through May 31st, 2027 with H2O Innovation Operations and Maintenance LLC to continue providing public water production system operator and wastewater system operator services per the original 3-year contract, June 1st, 2023 through May 31st, 2026, dated July 11th, 2023.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Reports. Trustee Cheney, do you have anything?
No, I think I'll do it tonight.
Okay, good tonight.
I have 2 announcements. The first is that this coming Saturday, assuming the snowstorm happens on Sunday and not on Saturday, we will have Warwick's 2nd annual Winter Wiggle, which is a free community-wide event. And there will be square dancing, there will be free food that has been donated generously by local restaurants. It is also a mental health and wellness event to connect folks and to connect our community to itself during what is often a very difficult time of year for many people. It's cold and it's dark and it's after the holidays. And so there will be a community showcase that includes what we hope is a list of all the different nonprofits and organizations and ways to get involved in the community. There will also be tabling from local organizations. The ambulance corps will be there. And so kind of demonstrating all of the different ways that folks can get involved and can connect even outside of this event. So last year it was really well received, and we hope to kind of keep this going if it continues to be well received. So that will be on this Saturday, January 24th at Mountain Lake Park from 4:30 to 7:30 p.m. It is being hosted by Warwick Cares and also the Warwick Community Center with support from the Village of Warwick and the Town of Warwick, and then a plethora of other entities, which is amazing.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, my second announcement is we also are undertaking a townwide transportation safety action plan, which we received funds for under the Safe Streets for All, I think 2023 grant. So we have the first public meeting for the townwide transportation safety action plan work on January 29th. So we'll also actually at the Winter Wiggle have have a table there and be gathering feedback and promoting the public meeting. This meeting will be at Warwick Town Hall at 6 p.m. A little bit more about the initiative. The purpose of the Transportation Safety Action Plan is to identify opportunities to reduce dangerous traffic crashes on our roadways. So a big part of the planning initiative is to analyze crash data over the last 5 to 10 years, identify where the key hotspots are, what are the causes of these crashes, why are they happening, who are the different types of folks moving through our community via which methods, and how can we make this safer for everyone. And then as part of the same grant, the Village of Warwick itself is testing out safety demonstration projects to slow down drivers, because we have a speeding problem pretty much throughout the village. And so part of the grant is enabling us to test different solutions to see the extent to which it helps encourage people to go the speed limit. And there'll be a robust community engagement process around that. I was reviewing the artist community engagement plan today and speaking with them about it, and I think it'll be fun and informative, and hopefully will yield a safer community.
We can hope.
Yeah.
Mary?
Yeah, I would like to announce the third annual, this is one of my favorite things we do, it's sponsored by Warwick Cares and the Warwick Prevention Coalition. It is the Valentine Making event that will be happening on Saturday, February 7th at the Warwick Valley Community Center on Hamilton Avenue from 2 to 4 p.m. It's all are welcome, and then the Valentines that are made will be distributed through Meals on Wheels and also will be distributed through teen groups as well.
That's right.
It's an awesome event.
Yeah,
It's
fun.
really a lot of fun.
You lied.
I lied.
Okay.
I should have mentioned it when we went through the budget modification, but there was purpose to that budget modification, and that is that one of our 4 big dump trucks that are used for plowing and sanding had basically the engine blew up on I guess Saturday, and has to be replaced completely. So it's to the tune of almost $66,000. It's a $350,000 piece of equipment. It's 9, almost 10 years old, so we want to get more years out of it. But what I would like to say is I'd like to thank our DPW folks who, because they were missing 2 of their most important vehicles out of the 4 they needed, and did an outstanding job on the 2 days of storms that they worked through, using less than optimal equipment. And so just wanted to give a shout out to them, that, you know, they did a really great job, and their work's much appreciated.
Thank you, Barry. Absolutely, they did. It was kind of a wild storm, too.
Yes.
It went on and on.
1 inch.
Right, 1 inch? Well, hello. I think that's been happening, that's been a pattern, you know, where we get predictions of like 1 inch and then we wake up and we're under a foot of snow. But
Didn't stop.
good stuff. I don't have any report this evening, but we'll open up to public comment on non-agenda items.
Here we go.
Are you saying something or am I?
Oh, did the tag team? I'm not sure how you wanted to do this.
Hi, Michael.
I'm Michael Helm from Sustainable Warwick, and of course this is Casey Roll. And we started a waste not want not survey that the town and all the villages have agreed to co-sponsor. And we're distributing paper copies here, but there are online copies available everywhere. Let me see.
Thank you to the village for participating, by the way.
Thank you.
So it's 25 questions. It's very easy, quick and easy to do. We've also made it accessible to mobile users. So this is for print, for folks who opt not to do that or are not so inclined. But really we're promoting digitally for folks to take the survey. And the idea is to introduce everybody to the many, many programs that are available to residents. The majority being local, but some are also national that folks may not know about how to reduce, reuse, recycle items, natural items that you would come across in your household.
For example, has anyone here heard of paintcare.org?
Paintcare?
Paintcare.org. This is just amazing. So it's an industry stewardship program. New York is one of 10 or 12 states. There must be a state law about this, because all throughout New York State, you can go on paintcare.org and find a paint store within 50 miles of you that will take old paint, up to 5 gallons. I'm always hearing people, oh, I've got to wait for the next hazardous waste day or whatever. And actually, when you buy a gallon of paint now, you pay an extra $1 to fund this program. So that's just one of the 25 questions.
Yeah.
That's great.
We've
That's
had,
really good.
we've had people respond and say, oh, I picked up things when I took this. And that, we were hoping they would pick it up. We also hoped that the people who were running the programs got things out of it. And also it's relatively quick, so we're really confident that the Waste Not survey will not be a waste of time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you have
Also-
another, do you have another copy? I can keep one at the tourism center and bring one to the
Oh,
wedding.
I'm going to go to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good.
You're welcome to, but I'm definitely going to have a
Perfect.
conversation.
Yeah.
And Rena, I'm happy to have a follow-up conversation. We were going to say, so it's digitally, there's a print copy available at each of the libraries. There's also a distribution and a collection site for these. There's a QR code at each of the places, and we'll set one up at the village as well. Town hall, each of the village halls, each of the libraries in the area. And also, when you go online, there's a resource page. So what Michael was referring to, there's a long list. Too Good to Go, Too Good to Toss, all of these programs that people may be vaguely familiar with or quite familiar with. All of that's listed.
That's great.
I'm really curious about the refilleries, because
Yeah.
some of
There's
these I
one
feel
in,
like
There's one in
my
Florida.
answer
Florida.
would, I didn't know about that, yeah. I feel like my answers would change, like if I was aware of where to go.
That's great. We want to get
Would you come to the Winter Wiggle?
Yeah, and leave some information about this.
We
if they want
had
to
we
go.
actually, we went to, I will be sure they have information.
Okay.
It depends on the weather, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but if you drop off,
Sam is willing to, because she'll also
Oh,
be
Sam
doing
will
a
be
survey.
doing it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's
Yeah.
also, the town also has the park survey going. I guess this is the village,
So
but still, they want
simultaneously.
everyone to respond.
yeah, they're
Yeah.
gonna have that going on.
Yeah.
But if you drop off flyers before 4 p.m. on Friday, that's when I'm picking them up from nonprofits
Oh,
and
sure.
bringing them over, yeah.
We're
You
actually
should have gotten
having,
an email. Mhm.
we're printing up a small, like 1/4 page
Oh, nice.
of what you're
Oh,
looking in front
perfect.
of you. And QR codes, and we're trying to make it as accessible to all
Yeah.
the potential users as possible.
I'm
That's great.
excited
Thank you
to
for
fill
doing
this
that.
out.
Two questions on there, by the way. One is about, would folks be willing to opt for dual stream, given the option if it's not an additional cost to residents? And the other was compost related, if folks had an opportunity to drop off their food waste, if there were a viable program across the town, would they be so willing? So two of them are vital pieces about potential programs.
Yeah.
Cool.
And
You know,
the
there's
rest
some
of-
communities that pick up compost.
Yes,
Tarrytown
yeah.
is a really good program. Tarrytown has been very successful with their composting.
Yeah, there's a lot going on behind the scenes within the town as well, which,
Good, that's great to hear.
And on the digital survey, the only required question is the very last one. Indicate which you're a resident of, so when we get to the end of this, we could actually filter all the, like, Village of Warwick and let the village see
Oh,
that.
that's great.
so folks know it's purely anonymous. We're just tracking town residents versus
Yeah.
each of the villages. And non-residents too, a lot of folks
How
know.
long do people have to complete this?
We're giving it a couple months.
Because I'm wondering, could we put it on the newsletter? But the next one is
We
in
would love that.
February.
Yeah, the next newsletter comes out in March. So if that's
We were
not,
planning to
It's
finish
too
by
late.
early March, but if
Okay.
there was, if it needed
Yeah,
to go
you
an
can do
extra
that,
week
yeah,
or two,
yeah.
it wouldn't cost any extra.
For additional users, yes.
yeah.
Yeah, that'd
Just
be great.
I'll remind you, but if you could just email me the QR code,
Okay,
we'll blurb about it.
thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
of course.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else this evening? Oh, okay. Well, final comments from the board. Anything else? So may I have no executive session, so may I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Love this idea.
Yeah.
It's adorable. The mayor said someone brought this idea up where in downtown, for pedestrians, you could have a little bucket with flags and they could carry the flag along the street and then drop it in the bucket. Nice.
I believe so. She's from
I've never seen it before.
I've seen,
Brand Brady Road.
and I'm trying to remember what the wording was.
Yes, yes.
It basically,
I knew I had it in my brain.
Only because
Thank you.
just say, okay, step off the curb,
Oh, interesting.
eye contact with the traffic in the first
Oh,
lane.
yeah, make sure you're,
Before you proceed, yeah, I've
So you don't
got
get
a
nailed.
picture of it, yeah.
that's good. That's a good idea.
Thank you for bringing these.